good, y'all? It's your girl, the Hood Alchemist.
It's your girl, the Hood Alchemist. What? It's your girl, the Hood. It's your girl, the Hood. It's your girl, the Hood.
What's up, y'all? It's your girl, the Hood Alchemist, here bringing you the art of transformation, infused with so much flavor and so much culture. That's right, y'all. I said flavor and culture, and if you haven't already, you already know what to do. Every person who makes a YouTube video, what do they tell you? Make sure you like this video. Yes. Drop a comment below. Let me know you popped in. Let me know your thoughts, how you're feeling, how's your day going. And if you feel so obliged, subscribe to join the tribe, okay? The Sun Tribe, that is. What's good, y'all? What's popping? Welcome to my channel. If you've been here before, welcome back. And if you haven't, hey, you're in for a ride. So, in this video, I want to talk about the colonized womb. Dum dum dum! Yes, I said that. The colonized womb, okay? Sounds like a disease. Why? Because it is a disease. So my goal with this video is to bring you this information about what exactly I'm saying when I say a colonized womb. Now, we know throughout history, peoples have been colonized everywhere, every which you wear. And we know in the Western world, just so happened in North America, did colonization take a new route with the introduction of chattel slavery, which was a whole nother beast in its own. It's a whole nother beast in its own compared to what people already knew of slavery and indentured and service. And in my perspective, in my understanding, okay, one person that has always been subjugated to that, regardless of color, regardless of religion, is women, people with wombs, okay? The wombs were the original ones to be enslaved, to be manipulated, to be subjugated to abuse and to erasing of the identity and the connection. And so in this video, I'm gonna shed a little light on how they try to take our wounds. I'm gonna shed a little light on how they try to take our wombs. Let's get into it. So, if you just so happen to be somebody who is carrying a womb right now and you are alive, then that means that you either quite possibly in this moment or at some time in your life have been suffering from a colonized womb. My personal opinion, most people, the average person, is suffering from a colonized womb. And I mean that man and woman. I mean that they, them, whatever you consider yourself. I feel like masculine and feminine energy as we know it has been colonized, and it plays out for everybody. But specifically when you have a womb, there are certain things that happen to you. And I would like to give a little insight. So maybe, take out a paper, a pen, just get your ears open and your heart open and your mind open to hear this and to receive this. Because I know some of y'all might be a little like, what is she talking about? Or this information can just seem so crazy. But just hear me out. Just hear me out, okay? Hear me out. So throughout time, I got my notes now. So throughout time, throughout history, femininity, women's health, all things regarding women have essentially been colonized, made for man's benefit, and completely miseducated to the public. So most people don't really know how to engage in women's health. People don't know how to deal with periods when it comes to childbirth and in pregnancy. People are very detached, or we put that process in other people's hands oftentimes. Even when it comes to menopause, like, people just don't really know, don't have conversations around like women and how living under patriarchal authority has affected like our health, our hormones, our bodies, our wombs, our connections to ourselves, to those things. So what I want to focus on is symptoms that show up in direct connection to the womb. So to even have a conversation about the womb, we have to first talk about the womb. What is the womb? Is it just the thing that you live in for 9 months and, you know, like everybody uses one to get here, and it's just something we all know and we're all familiar with but don't really have any connection or understanding to it? You know, that's how most of us can, you know, view it, and that's how most of us have been taught to connect with it. But the womb throughout history, even looking back into spiritual texts, has been a place of deep reverence, has always been a thing that is connected to God and to creation and to the source of that. So throughout time, and you know, through the lens of patriarchy and through the ego and all these things, the connection to the womb has been severed. The connection to the womb to God has been severed. The reverence for the womb has been severed over time with all of these systems and with, you know, certain people in power. And so with the womb being connected to God and to creation, it's also connected to intuition. It's connected to, in a lot of ways, I say spirit. Like, for instance, even when dealing with, you know, masculine heavy people or men, men are just not understand how a woman or a person who is deeply in tune with their intuition can come up to them and be like, how you gonna tell me you know something and you don't have no evidence, or you know you don't have no proof? You know, there's plenty of times when people who are really, really connected to their intuition are like, I just feel it. I just know. Like, I know this, okay? I don't have to see nothing. I don't have to you don't know. I just know. Like, there's a deep voice within that ain't even my voice that is telling me this. That is the connection to the womb. Obviously, men have that, but it just shows up in a different way. So when people who have a womb have this connection, it's like you can't escape that. You can't escape that voice. You can't escape that spirit. You can't escape that, like, deep compassion and empathy. No matter how masculine it shows up, no matter how hardened it shows up, like, that's just not stuff you can run from. That's just energy, you know, like, energy cannot be created nor destroyed. And as much as people think they can manipulate energy, shit always comes back, or it always, you know, like, so that's just what it is. So throughout Western society, especially for black people, especially for people of color, the connection to the womb for indigenous people has been severed, because that is the thing that taps you back into who you are. That is the thing that allows you to remember, which is why there's even significance in there being a need to colonize the womb, that or to even colonize that aspect of people's lives and their engagements with themselves. You know, even thinking about if a person is severed from their connection to their mother, that's something that they carry with them all their life. That's something that haunts a person all their lives. You know, like, obviously the father as well, but the mothers, you know, like, it always hits a little different for people, you know, especially knowing this is the person who carried you. And so with slavery, with, you know, capitalism, with, you know, supremacist, I guess, ideologies, you know, over people of color, but specifically over women, even thinking about women of color, you know, and the roles they've played historically. If you disconnect a person from their mother, if you disconnect a human from that feminine energy, from that womb energy, essentially you can control anything they do. Think about children who don't grow up in homes with parents, but it's especially children who don't respect their mothers. They tend to be disrespectful. You tend to can't tell them anything. They don't really care about authority. So if you can break an entire populations or an entire societies or an entire group of people's connection to their mother, to their mother energy, to their mother lineages, to their mother ancestry, to just any of that, to their own wombs within their bodies, then it's like, man, hello. Sounds like a recipe, but a recipe for what? You got the answer? Drop a comment below. Let me know what it sounds like to you. So I got a little lengthy with explaining the colonized womb, you know, energy, but I just wanted to lay the foundation of why understanding this is important. You know what I'm saying? So specifically speaking to women, specifically speaking to womb carriers, specifically speaking to people who cannot, you know, separate from their connection with the womb energy. This part I really want you to hear. So ways that you know that your womb has been colonized, or symptoms and signs that will show up, which I guess I can call them for the sake of this video, is first off, the disconnection between your intuition and putting that in other people's hands. So not trusting what you feel, not trusting what you know, not trusting your gut or your first mind. You know, a lot of times people will be in situations and it's like, you know, I had this feeling, and then something happens and that it affirms that feeling that you had, but you didn't trust it. And if you had trusted it, you could have been ahead of the energy. It's not that it stops stuff from happening, but it allows you to be ahead of the energy, to be in synchronicity with the flow, with the bigger picture, with God, you know. And so ways that they do this is, think about through your periods. Periods aren't a big thing. So like, you have a period, nobody really talks to you about it, nobody really understands, you know, like in most indigenous cultures, that is a rite of passage for a young person, you know, like that is something for them to step into. That is a journey that begins, you know, and ends one journey. So that should be acknowledged. The fact that people who don't have periods don't really have to engage with the conversation, except for those rare people who, you know, who say forget that. Those people who are raising, you know, young people and young daughters and like having to, you know, deal with stuff like that. Like, kudos to you. But like, for the most part, people don't have to engage in that. And then that tells that person that this experience is not important. That tells young women, little girls, like, this experience is not important. So that's the first strike, okay? So then there's really no conversation about it. And then when it comes to sex, we don't understand that, okay, if this is a gateway, if this is a energy source, but also a space that carries energy, because a baby is literally energy and the womb carries it. So why can it not carry other energies? Think about fibroids, think about endometriosis, think about all these things that develop in the womb out of nowhere, but it's like, are they out of nowhere, or did they manifest from a deeper root, from a spiritual root, from an emotional root? Okay, put a pin in that one. Okay, but your womb, you take on the energy. You carry the energy of the wombs before you. You carry the energy of your family. You carry the healing. You carry the trauma. You carry it all. So it's like, that's why womb health is important. That's why being in flow with your body and recognizing like what's coming up, and being able to not just recognize it, but to soothe it and to even like shift it. Like, that is where you learn to tap into your power. That is where you learn to master that feminine energy, that flow energy, you know, like that is a gift that like people who don't have a womb don't understand or experience that. What happens when people have sex? People have children. Okay, this is the thing that really gets me, okay? And women, do not be offended. People who have babies, do not be offended. Just listen, okay? Hear me out. And if you are offended, drop a comment, okay? Just leave it in the comments, because shoot, whatever. But anyway, childbirth in Western societies, especially, because other places have, even people look at third world countries and like they're some of those countries don't have like a lot of money and don't have a lot of stuff, but they have resources in different ways, and they still have ties and connections to other parts of life that we have a deeper disconnection from, you know, just, you know, so everything is give and take. But from a moment a woman finds out she's pregnant, she puts her body in the doctor's hands. She puts her child's life, she puts everything, she puts the trust of her pregnancy, the faith of her pregnancy in outside sources. And then putting that faith and that energy in outside forces to tell you, even thinking about when a woman has a baby and she goes into labor, and when you push, the doctor tells you when to push. But it's like, it's your body. When you take a shit, do somebody got to tell you when to push? No, you know when it need to come out. Not that I'm comparing having a baby to taking a dump, but people shit when they have babies, so that's also a thing. But same muscles, similar muscles are being utilized, you know, like similar actions. Even thinking about cramps, what you go through when you have your cramps and stuff. Stuff like that, like, women dispower themselves. The process dispowers them, but then we're so used to it that we just sign up for it, and then that's disempowering as well. You know, the idea of labor, like, that is the gateway, that is the initiation into your motherhood. And for you to have no cognizance or no empowerment or no, like, control, I don't even want to say control, but to have authority, you know, in your own initiation, then it's like, that sounds a little repressed. That sounds a little colonized. Okay. But even that whole process, you know, which I won't tap too long into that, because this video could be forever. But if you would like to hear more, drop a comment below, and I can definitely make a video talking about all my thoughts and opinion on childbirth and Western society and mothers and women's, and I just said women's, whatever. Even to go in deeper with the period. Like, our period isn't supposed to hurt. Our period isn't supposed to be long. Our period isn't supposed to, like, be this thing that we dread. Our hormones aren't supposed to get all out of whack. Your womb is telling you every time your period comes, something's off. Like, I'm inflamed. I'm holding on to things. The balance is not right here. If your womb was already balanced, if there was nothing wrong, it would not respond like that. But we are so used to having these types of periods that we're just like, this is normal. It's not normal. That is your womb telling you, I am suffering. Okay? And then what do? We go put that process into other people's hands. We get on birth control. We take ourselves away from having to connect with our own feelings, emotions, and intuitions. And then don't know why our families and our communities aren't moving forward, because feminine energy has the power. Women have the power. People who bear children have the power. You have the power to shift a whole generation just by what you put in your body, just by the thoughts that you think, just by the food that you eat, just by the environment and the company that you keep and surround yourself with. And people don't take that serious because of colonization, because of being so dissociated from our own processes. Even thinking about the way we eat, like, I could go on so many rants. I don't know what y'all think about this, though. And if I should maybe do a little series about the colonized womb, I'm going to do it. I have a series in mind, but it's different aspects of that. But this is a really deep topic for me. We really have to take our womb health back into our hands, from the spiritual hygiene of it all, the womb hygiene of it all. You know, if people when they started their period, started yoni steaming, if they had those, you know, moments with the people, their community, their mothers, their fathers, whoever takes care of them, the grandmothers, you know, if there was, like, you know, group yoni steaming and moon circle clubs for young girls, you know, we wouldn't have as many people with fibroids and, like, getting hysterectomies and having thyroids all thrown off. If women knew how to, like, connect with herbs again and use medicine and, like, herbal medicines to help, you know, like knowing to drink certain teas, you know, a few weeks before your period or 2 weeks before your period to help ease in anything and to help prepare your uterus for what's happening, knowing what to drink after. Like, there's a method to the madness. This body that you are inhabiting isn't just, like, you know, like, we're so full of ourselves, and yet we're so out of touch with ourselves. We're so out of touch with our own processes in the very thing that we walk around in all day long, the very thing that we spend the most time with, our body. And obviously this is just crossing over into people. This video is not just for people who have wombs or people who identify with wombs. This is for people who love wombs, for people who take care of wombs, for people who having sex with wombs. This video is for all the people who are engaging with wombs, especially black and brown wombs, especially indigenous wombs. There is, I don't even want to say, we obviously know that there is, it's just in our hands, and it's our job to reclaim what is ours. And the least you could do is start with your own body.